I'm surprised to hear Republicans criticizing you for visiting Europe because European standards are lower than American standards and more in tune with what they're advocating you to adopt. If our standards are too low, we end up with bailouts and bankruptcies, but if our standards are unnecessarily high, we slow economic growth. It concerns me to hear your opening testimony when you describe how these regulations are a response to the 2008 crisis. It's a little late to be writing regulations in response to the 2008 crisis. The question is, will I still be alive when you write regulations responding to the 2023 crisis? And that 2023 crisis is a direct result of you underestimating the problems of interest rate risk. You've worked hard on these regulations, but as I'll point out to you, they discriminate against the environment, they discriminate against first-time home buyers, and they discriminate against small business. Now, one of the ways they discriminate against small business is a small business, the bank has very little interest rate risk. They're short-term loans or they're adjustable rate. You buy a 30-year bond, might be very creditworthy, might not have any credit risk, it has all that interest rate risk. I'm flabbergasted that it's taken till now for you to propose regulations to say that banks have to recognize unrealized losses on held-for-sale securities. That's flabbergasting, to think that you would take an asset that the bank paid $1 million for, that the market tells you is worth only $600,000, and count it as $1 million. But half these securities are in that hold-to-maturity account, and you're not doing anything about it. Are any of you thinking of causing banks to recognize unrealized losses? And I urged this back when you were here back in March, just a few days after Silicon Valley Bank, on all mark-to-market, the losses on all securities. Are any of you considering that? Mr. Barr?
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. You raise an important question. First of all, as I said at the beginning, we're open for comment on all the issues you've raised.
You've just heard my comment.
And with respect to unrealized losses, the proposal is focused on available for sale securities, as you point out. It's the rule we have for GSIBs. We don't have that for other large banks. This would apply that approach to other large banks.
You're doing a tiny step forward when you had a massive crisis thought to be a risk to our entire economy, and you invoked that law, and you're taking this tiny step, and you're leaving on the balance sheet assets at $1 million that you know are worth $600,000. But in doing so, you're discriminating against small business. Every time a bank decides is incentivized to buy that long-term debt on a securities market, that's money they can't lend to a local pizzeria. Speaking of discriminating, against I mentioned first-time home buyers. First-time home buyers often need mortgage insurance. Your current rules recognize that mortgage insurance may not be perfect, but it's useful. Can any of you raise your hands if you want to defend the idea of having a zero value for mortgage insurance? I see no hands going up.
Mr. Sherman, just to clarify, under the proposal, our treatment of private mortgage insurance doesn't change. So it's the same approach now. Under our guidelines, private mortgage insurance can be a factor among several factors that contribute to a mortgage being considered prudently underwritten.
Well, I would hope that you would write your regulations more clearly, because many people who have written them believe that you're going to assign a zero value, and if you intend to do otherwise. Congress spends a lot of money providing these clean energy credits, and you undermine their value, you undermine congressional policy. The tax equity investments, you're going to go from 100% to 400%, making them far less valuable to banks. Is there anyone here who thinks that's in the interest of the environment? Yes.
If I may just comment, Congressman. This is, in a sense, the reason we have a comment period. We've received a lot of thoughtful comment on this subject, and we're going to give it careful consideration in the final.
I'm glad you're hearing our comments, and I hope that you would have stress tests that look at interest rates going up and down. That's the lesson of 2023. I yield back.